Very good. Thank you, everybody, and welcome to our special meeting for the Holly Township Parks and Recreation. Today is April 16th, 2025. It's about 6:30 p.m. So the first item on our agenda is to call to order. Madam Secretary?
Carl?
Here.
Hutchins?
Here.
Wright?
Here.
DeSessa?
Yes.
Earl? Yes.
Next, we do have a quorum. Everyone is here. Now, these are things that I need to mention. I have to remind myself as the chair that after we call the roll call, I say whether or not there's a quorum. Actually, the secretary makes a note, Madam Chair, we have a quorum, and that makes it official. Okay?
We
Perfect.
Have a quorum.
Yay. Okay. Next item on our agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance. Can we stand, please? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, we did the roll call ahead of time, so thank you very much. I'll get this. Next, we have the approval of the agenda. Do I hear a motion? Or are there any changes or additions?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the agenda as submitted.
Okay, motion by Commissioner Hutchins. Is there a support or a second?
I second.
Second by Commissioner Wright. Madam Secretary, please roll call.
Wright?
Yes.
Hutchins?
Yes.
Carl?
Yes.
DeSessa?
Yes.
Earl? Yes.
Okay, the next item is a public comment, and this is items that are related to this agenda item only. Members of the public can address the commission once recognized by the chairperson for items listed on this agenda only. Comments are limited to 4 minutes. The commission, however, may extend this time by up to an additional 4 minutes by majority vote. Prior to addressing the commission, members of the public are asked to state their name and address for the record. Are there any members from the public? Seeing and hearing none, we shall move on. On to item number 6, old business. Now, under this item, we are going to discuss and approve the job descriptions for the Holly Township Parks and Recreation Manager and the Holly Township Parks and Recreation Maintenance Supervisor. And we did approve some things at our last meeting, but I wanted to give you all a little bit of more time to take a look at the job description. I also asked the manager to review them and to see if there's anything else that she would like to add, or are there any questions or remove or whatever. Madam Manager?
I did not see anything, and yesterday I actually gave Mel, our maintenance supervisor, the copy that you had given for his description, and asked him to look it over and also share if there were anything that he wanted changed or, thought he needed to have. And he has not contacted me, so I'm assuming that he is okay with. I did point out to him that currently he would be limited to the 20 hours, and then go back to a lesser time frame when the season is over.
Excellent, excellent. Are there any questions from the commissioners or comments? None? Okay. Now, please know this, commissioners, job descriptions by HR, they should be reviewed at least annually so that we can see if there's any changes or any modifications that we need to make. So for now, I hear of no changes or additions on this item. Do I hear a motion to approve the job descriptions for the Holly Township Parks and Recreations Manager and the Holly Township Parks and Recreation Maintenance Supervisor? And these are both part-time positions. Is there a motion?
I motion to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Carl. Is there support?
I second that motion.
Excellent. Second by Commissioner Wright. Madam Chair?
Carl?
Madam
Yes.
Secretary?
Earl? Yes. Hudgens?
Yes.
Wright?
Yes.
DeSessa?
Yes, Madam Secretary. Thank you. I just promoted you. I appreciate it. Okay, so moving right along, that motion did pass. Moving on to new business. This is to consider formal approval of the appointment of Mary Blanchard as Holly Township Parks and Recreation Parks Manager and Mel Bartsoff as Holly Township Parks and Recreation Maintenance Supervisor. I know both of these individuals have been doing these jobs for the past 6 months, if not more. I believe that they've done an excellent job. They've been at the interim for more than 6 months, as I said earlier, and I know that the two of them have gone above and beyond, and I cannot thank them enough for all of the work that they've done. And with that, I would ask the Commission if there are any questions or comments. Any comments?
The only thing I have is a comment
Mhm.
on this is a statement of annual review of both positions.
Okay.
I would call that a performance
A performance review? Okay, so
review of both positions.
I understand, Commissioner. However, on the agenda is only to consider their formal appointment. However, that does not mean that we can't also conduct an annual review. So we can do that. And we will make it, I guess since they were, formally appointed on this day, we can again look at it as such to do an annual review. But for now, the motion will be as written because that's what we said on the agenda, and we can add that we will conduct an annual review on April the 18th, or at least close by, next year for both of them. Now, let me just clarify something. I know that for the manager, the commission can do the annual review. However, she is the supervisor for the the recreation maintenance person. So in that case, I believe that the manager will be the one conducting the annual review, and I can help her prepare a format. And anybody else who knows of a good format that we can use to conduct an evaluation, I think that would be a good thing as well. Yes, sir.
Yes, that's always administrative duty, not legislative.
Thank you, sir.
She has other employees, 3 other.
Okay.
Well, actually 4. There's Mel and his helper, and then we have the 3 from Michigan Works. So anytime that Michigan Works wants a review of how everybody's doing with their employees, they have to come to Mary, administrative, not
Administrative.
legislative.
Excellent.
So that's all on her. That's all under you.
Lucky
Well,
you.
actually, just this morning, I did send them our quarterly report for those 3 employees
Yes.
that they send us. It basically just tells how many hours that they had given over the 4 months, or 3 months. And then once a year, they do a review of their own with those employees. And then they share with us if we have a review as well, like just a sheet that we fill out on how they're doing and that, so.
It would probably be put in all of our policies and procedures
Okay.
under administrative.
Very good. I agree.
That way we don't have legislators division.
Correct. I think those are good points. Any other comments? Okay, so just to clarify, the commission would only be responsible for doing the review of the manager. She would be responsible for doing the annual review for the maintenance supervisor.
And just to say, when I And he said he loves working here, and, I think he was,
He was
I
happy.
won't say touched, but,
He was
it's a
pleased.
male kind of thing, but he was proud to be able to do it.
Yeah, he does a good job. I've personally watched him direct the staff that he works with, and I've noticed that they very much, have a good communications, good relationship, very positive. So I see that as well. So thank you, Mary. Thank you very much. Okay, so there was a motion has not been a motion. So who would like to make a motion to consider formal approval of the appointment of Mary Blanchard as Holly Township Parks and Recreation Manager and Mel Bartskoff as Holly Township Parks and Recreation Maintenance Supervisor? Who would like to make that motion, please? Okay, very good. Motion made by Commissioner Earl. Is there a support or second?
Support.
Supported by Commissioner Hutchins. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Roll call.
Yes, roll call.
Wright.
Yes.
Hudgens.
Yes.
Earl, yes. Carl.
Yes.
DeSessa.
Yes. I want to hurry up and go. Okay, motion has passed. And thank you, everyone. I'm so glad to finally finish this and have all our staff. Mary, congratulations. Yes. Yes. And please tell Mel we think the world of him as well, and we'd like to congratulate him as well for this. So very, very pleased. We have great staff. So thank you.
I think, too, that he has tuned in to some of the meetings
Mhm.
in the past, so,
Well, Mel, if you're listening, great job and congratulations.
yes.
Thank you. Okay, moving on to the next item, which is probably the first time, at least for some of us, that we've ever worked on preparing the proposed budget for the 2025-2026 fiscal year. Now, and before I turn it over to our manager so she can give us an overview of what's happening. So in some cities, their fiscal year is not a calendar year, and by that I mean that their budget doesn't start from January to December. In some cities and communities, townships, villages, their fiscal year may sometimes start in October. And the reason for that, and end in September, is because they want to be in line with the federal government. The federal government, actually, their fiscal year starts in October. But for most cities, because of the way we work and the things that we need, we usually do this in the summertime. So our fiscal year will begin on July 1st of every year, and it ends on June 30th of every year. So instead of going January to December, we go July to June to July to June. I'm sorry, the other way around. July to June. It's just an FYI when we talk about fiscal year, and for us, in our case, after we meet and we come up with a proposed budget, we then come up with some recommendations, some ideas, give it back to staff. Staff gets to check it out, see if it makes sense, and if we're able to afford it, and they will come back to us. So we're going to meet again on this, and then we get to finalize it. And we need to do it as quickly as we can, and hopefully we'll, at our first meeting in May, we will be able to adopt this and approve this, I should say. Just approve and recommend to the township board that they approve our budget. And unlike other entities, it must receive township approval for our budget. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to our manager so that she can explain. And if I got anything wrong, Mary, please correct me, and we can go forward. Okay?
Well, I would caution that this is my first time doing
Oh
this
my
budget.
goodness, okay.
I am expecting Rachel to call any minute because I thought she was coming here to drop off some things. She apparently was waiting for me to call to tell her that I was here.
Oh.
So she will be here shortly, but because she has severe allergies, she doesn't know whether she's going to be able to be in this building without having an adverse reaction. So she is going to call me, and I'm going to run out and get the paperwork that she is going to submit for this meeting. So
Okay.
I do have some previous information, but as somebody had pointed out, some of these documents don't have the figures here, but they do tell us the actual categories of that. Yep, thank you. So I have heard from a few people over the course of the time since we sent the emails saying that we were going to start this process. However, I have not had anything come forward that actually includes any figures to it as far as actual bids or that.
Here she is.
So while Mary copies them, I guess that's what she's going to do. She's going to make copies for us. Let's take a look at this statement of activity so that you all know what we're looking at. So the first item is it's called the transaction detail by account, and unfortunately it's blacked out or it just didn't copy the category, but for most you can see. There are payments to federal taxes, and you see our payments to our utilities, our payments to waste management, personnel, the chamber, and things of that nature. So again, these are just the transactions for the month of January of 2025. So we could see what happened on that month, okay, in terms of what did we pay. And again, under the statement of activities, you can see our revenues and expenditures. And Mary, I'm going to turn it over back to you. We were just going over the. Do you have to make copies of the stuff?
I'm
Oh,
making
okay.
them right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, then I'll turn it over to you then. Or should I? You want me to continue?
Sure.
Okay.
Just a notation.
Mhm.
These are always a month behind.
Mhm.
So if anybody's looking at this and we show up next meeting.
Good point, sir. Mhm.
It's always going to reflect the
A month
past
behind.
month.
Mhm. Yeah, because the month isn't over yet, like this month, so that's why it'll always be a month behind. So you can see our statement of activity in December in terms of revenues and expenditures that we received. We get a small interest and dividends from the tax revenue. And then you can see again our expenditures for December. So you saw January, now you're looking at December.
Madam Chair,
Yes, sir?
we got to get some page numbers here so we can follow this path financially, because I'm lost already. Where are we at?
Okay, I'm
We're
just
looking-
I'm just going by page. So the first
What was
page.
just passed out.
Yeah. It just, I didn't change it, so, okay, so the one that says January 2025, first one?
Yeah.
Okay, so.
Page one.
Page one.
Yep, that's easy.
So there you see our expenditures for January 2025. And you can see where we paid consumers, our staff, waste management, QuickBooks, and things of that nature for the month of January 2025. All right? Again, these copies need to be a little bit better. We'll get them because they're missing the category and the price that was spent. So this is not a good copy. We need a little bit better next time. And then in December, which is a little better, I think, December 2024. You found that, Joe?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's page 2.
Yep.
And you can see the revenues that we received that month in December of 2024. Thank you. And then you can see, again, our expenses. And then how much, what is the net? Revenue versus expenditures. You can see the balance. Okay? Like, and just so you know, when you look at these reports, the way they're set up, so like office expenses, you'll see the total, and here, you'll have to go back and take a look at that, and that'll add that number. Personnel, it'll add that number, and so forth and so on, like payroll expenses. Okay? So page 3, this is for January 2025. Again, you can see the revenue. It's gone a lot higher, and the expenditures. And again, it's revenue minus expenditures, and you can see our net. That's page 3. And then page 4, here is, again, the copies are kind of weird, Mary, but
This is July through January.
mhm. So, okay. So I think we got 2 pages that are the same. No, not the same.
This is more the balance statement, where
Mhm.
bills were paid.
Mm-hmm.
I think these two are just the budget to actuals, right?
Yes, uh-huh.
Where the other one
Right.
Payables for the
is
month.
the payables, right?
So I'm gonna make page 4, Joe, to look like this, with just the amount of bills that we paid. That'll be page 4 for December 2024. And then page 5, it says comparison of budget to actual for the 2024-2025 year. And we have 2 pages, Mary. So what is this first or last page? Here.
This is actually what she had given previously,
Mhm.
and this that I just gave you is
Mhm.
what she gave currently.
Okay.
So what current is the statement of activity for February,
Mhm.
and then this budget to actual for here shows budget for previous years.
Mhm.
So that might be for this particular meeting,
Mhm.
it might be more unique.
Mhm.
And then the other page for this is the transaction detail, similar to this one in January.
Okay.
Is that the new packet?
Yeah.
This
then-
is the old packet, this is the new.
Okay, because we're still looking at the old packet.
We're still looking at the old packet. Now, when you look at the old packet, the information is the same. You can see, if you look at the budget, on the budget side, well, first you'll see the description of the various revenues that we get, okay? So you'll see taxes, grants, monies that we get from classes, disc golf, any kind of special events, interest, rents, leases, contributions, and miscellaneous. And you can see that that's $217,781. You see that? So that's a total for the budget for the year 24-25. All right? And then I'm just going to stay on the same column. Then you can see the expenditures. And you notice that they're the same. They're the same. You see that? 217 and 781. They have to be the same because that's how you know that you have a balanced budget. The numbers must be the same. Okay? And forgive me if I'm being redundant. I just want to make sure everybody understands. All right? And then, so I think I see the difference now. So you look at the next column, and this says from July to January, and the other one says July to December. And you can see in the second column, from July to December, how much we received in this, during that time frame, as it relates to revenues, and then as it relates to expenditures. So that's as of July to December of last year. That's what we spent. And I mean, that's what we received in terms of revenue. We received at that time $18,457.14. And then, of course, our expenditures were a little bit higher. Came out to a total of $64,122.18. But that was just for that month, okay? Just for that time period. And then you can see what's left over. All right, so we still have total revenues of $199,000 that we need to collect. And then you can see at the bottom, the expenses that we've made during that time frame. And then one of the things I asked her to do was to show us what percentage of the budget are we at. And so for this time frame, you can see we're at 29.4 overall in terms of our revenues. So then when you look at the next page, or this other page, which is, it's the same thing. You can see the numbers are still going to match. They're still the same. Revenues and expenditures, 217. Then you can see, however, that this one is from July to January. And then you can see that our revenues are much higher. It's 141. And you can see our expenses, it's not very high, so it's only 67. And then at the end, you can see how much we've spent. So we've spent about 150,000, and we've received probably a little over 141, or if not higher. 199,000. And it looks like we're doing pretty good. We're doing pretty close to the 217,000 that we said we were going to receive. Now the year is not over yet, so there's still perhaps some additional revenue that's coming in. I see what she's doing here, Mary. I guess it's a little difficult to follow because of the time frames. So I apologize if I sound a little confusing, but again, this is July to January, and this one is July to December. So she does a much wider time frame. And the only reason I think this last page here is a little earlier is because of the amount that we've already received, and we received 64.9%, and we've spent 30.9% of the budget. So, yes?
None of these figures relate to this at 31%.
So when you take away,
Or is it the July through January is 31% of the budget?
no, the way I understand this, again, this is why it's a little difficult to understand here on this side. I don't have a calculator.
I do.
Okay. Why don't you go ahead and tell me what that percentage is?
Okay, so what, I
So
guess-
is 217, what is 150,000?
Okay, so the 67,000, I'm rounding here,
Mm-hmm.
in July through January
Mhm.
is 31% of, I didn't show that the first time. It
Okay.
came out at 69, my error. So that percentage then reflects the time period of the fiscal
Yes.
July.
July to January. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'll talk to Rachel a little bit about that, but it's supposed to read in terms of percentage of budget, and this is what I asked her to do, is like, so every quarter is is a percentage of time that has gone by. And so this way we know how much time has gone. So we'll know, say like in the first quarter, 25% of the year has gone by. How much have we collected? Are we at the 25% level? Are we over? Are we under? So we know where we stand. This item may be a little higher because we purchased that one item. Does that make sense? Item may be a little higher because we purchased that one item. Does that make sense? So therefore, we've spent the money for the entire year. Okay? I hope that makes sense. So that's where that percentage number comes from. Okay? This, you can see what that is if you were to subtract. Okay? Everybody know how she did the percentages? Okay. All right, so so if we look at this, the most current one would be this one, July to January.
Point of clarification.
Yes, sir.
Madam Chair.
Mhm.
Why don't we take a look at the newest, the
Yes, we're
latest
gonna
information?
look at the newest.
I think that's part of the confusion, because we're looking at past data when we have the current data right in front of us.
Well, actually, yes, because we're at the 25-26 fiscal year. And the reason we have this here for you is so that you could see
Right.
what it
I
was like
understand.
last year. That's all. Yes, and that's what Mary did. Mary wanted you to see
Right.
what we did last fiscal year. That's all. And we did really well. We did very good. Okay. So now we're going.
Actually, we did good.
Yes, you guys did good. You all did very good. So now we're going to look at the current budget, and I'll turn it over to the manager so she can do it.
I
Okay.
actually think you did a great job.
You want me to continue? Okay. So let's keep going. So now you'll see a statement of activity, February 2025. Okay, revenue. So far, 70,470. Expenditures, 12,000. Net revenue, 57,000. Okay, this is the new package, Joe.
That was the second package.
The second package that we just,
Paper. You need more paper. That's what gets confusing, is everything goes over and over and over.
Joe, I think it's the one that I just handed.
she just
Just
handed it
handed.
to you. It looks like this.
Yeah, it's
Looks
just
like-
3 sheets.
Looks like that.
3 sheets.
We get rid of some of this here. Okay. That one? No.
No.
That one? No.
Wait. Was that, that's like?
No, it's the page 3 of last year.
Oh.
Not that one.
It says February 2025.
That one.
It'll start with this one. I got it. Yep. Okay.
Right.
All right.
No page number. I guess this is page.
I know, we will put page numbers. So page 1, it says February 2025, revenue. And then you can see the expenses for February. And we are behind because it's April, so we're a month behind. And that's what we did for the month of February. Okay? That's all this says. She wanted you to see what we did for the month of February. All right. Now here's the budget. Here is our budget that she is recommending.
What is this for?
That is what she had given to me just yesterday.
Is it
as
current then?
Is what she thinks for next year, for this coming year, is like the bare bones, keep the lights on, the very basic
This is
stuff.
the needs, not the wants.
Correct. And then she is saying that she believes, based on the number of 240,000 that was given to her yesterday by Jen Ryan, the Holly Township treasurer, as what our expected tax revenue is going to be, that we have above that basic 140,000 that we are able to either spend or to put into savings or, however.
Fund balance.
And that's the biggest thing about the money that we get from the township
Yes.
taxes. It comes in November, December, January, then late charge Fred rate, it's gotta go to Oakland County and then come back. So we got all these months where he keeps putting pennies in the piggy bank, and that should be the final issue received, right? Yeah, so that's how we get our money. It isn't just one-time check.
No.
They just keep dumping it, dumping it, dumping it. So we can't really come up with a good balanced proposed budget till we know what our final is, which is usually after February,
Right.
which is that's where we're at now, just from past history.
And that's true, Joe. Once we get that number, and apparently we just got it, and it looks like we're going to be able to bring in a total revenue of $240,000
Yep.
this coming fiscal year, which starts July 1st.
Yep.
All right. So again, this information that the three-pager, Joe,
Yeah.
it's just background information. So you can see what we spent, statement of activity for February 2025, and then you can see the specifics on the next page, page 2, okay? You can see the specifics. And then she gave us, again, a comparison for last fiscal year, all right? Because you see it on the corner right here, upper right-hand corner, on the 3 pages, which says for the 24-25 fiscal year, okay? All right, so you can compare to see what we did, all right? So now, when we look at this budget, y'all, this one here, this is the bare bones. Now, she should increase this revenue to $240,000, okay? So in order to balance. So she's telling us that we have $240,000 of revenue that we can use, and now she has to make it so, and then we balance the budget. Now, as Mary said, we don't have to spend it all. we can spend what we need, and what we need in order to get it done, and then whatever is left over, it goes to the fund balance, okay, not the savings account. But I know what you mean. It's a rainy day account. It's called a rainy day account, and just so y'all know, we have a nice rainy day account, but I think we need to maybe start spending some of it because it's, I think, a little higher than what it should be. For most communities, usually they have anywhere between 3 to 6 months of, monies in their savings account, in their rainy day account, so that we can survive should something happen. But for now, Joe, she did as you suggested, and we're just going to look at this red sheet so we won't get confused. And we are going to. This is the bare bones budget for her, okay? So for her, when she put this budget together, she came up with a total estimated revenue of $202,300. Okay, that was her best projection. And what she did was she took a look at what happened last year and probably in previous years, and then she came up with those numbers, all right? And then you can see, I'm so sorry. I'm looking at this wrong. I apologize. 22-23 was 202,000. 23-24 was 210, and then 24-25, which was this last year, was 217, and this year, there we go. Now I get it. That's 240,000 instead of the 219. Does everybody understand? Much better. Much better. I apologize. So the 22-23 budget, that's what happened. The 23-24. Now the reason it's called revised, so y'all know, is sometimes things happen. Life happens, as they say, and maybe the numbers don't come in as projected. So the accountant makes proper revisions. Or sometimes, because we do have some fund balance dollars, we can maybe throughout the year take that money and maybe reallocate it to something else on our revenue, and we can do that. But it'll happen after the budget is approved, okay? We don't like to do that. That is not a good idea, but sometimes emergencies happen, and that's when you do that. But for the most part, we don't do that. That is not a good practice. We plan for we budget for what we need. Yes, sir?
We always used to just usually revise our budget once a year. And I suggested for the rest of everybody else, we do it quarterly, which we started doing last year. That way everybody's familiar, they say, okay, we didn't spend this money here, so let's move it over to here because we want to do this. So that's under revision. So we look at that quarterly, so we get to use this document more and get used to it, you know. A budget is only
A plan.
want list. There's the basics we have to do, but the want list can change at any time. So if you don't, if a project comes up and you say, well, we're gonna do this for $20,000 and it falls through, we take that 20,000 or whatever we want out of that and move it anywhere else that's needed. Or back into the needs instead of the wants. Like we already replaced 2 furnaces, we got that done, you know, things like that. So
Well,
it's flexible.
I agree with you, Joe.
In the email, when I sent this out, I did point out too that under Park salaries, she does not have anything in here for that other than the director's salary. We're still not dedicated at this point as to how many staff we're going to have for the summer.
Exactly.
So, you know, that we have to plan for. Another thing that I had written down, last month we talked about the parking lot, which, you know, we don't have an actual budget amount yet, as well as the maintenance of the exterior of the nature center, which is a really major undertaking because a lot of the trim has completely rotted. And on the east side, I think, of the building, there's a lot of exposed wood because the paint is peeling on that side. So whether that means painting the whole building, I don't know. If we can maybe match it as best we can, we might be able to get away with just painting the one side. But there is even, like up on the eaves on the outside of the building, the woodpeckers have done quite a number on making holes up there. So there are expenses to this building that, you know, has stood for 25 years or whatever that does need to be addressed. And so those are things. We talked about painting at the beach, including possibly the pavilion, and also the floor of the bathrooms needs a tremendous amount of work because the paint is peeling off and it just looks dirty even though it's not. So that needs to be addressed. Because we have done such a lot of clearing of the invasives around the nature center, I would ask that we put at least $300 into plantings for the bee yard, or around the bee yard, including for trees, native flowers, and bushes, so that we can have a place for those bees to actually go to and collect pollen. So there's that. And then as far as the summer staff, I would think that we need at least 2 maintenance people, especially if Mel is going to be limited to 20 hours as supervisor, that he needs some additional staff to help him with that mowing and other tasks around here.
Okay.
And then the beach staff, I'm going to need to go back over the records and see how many beach staff we actually had, because everybody was working part-time. And I know we, at that time, had a beach manager in addition to Amy. So Maddie had been doing that portion of it. And then we also had 2 younger people who were on the staff, as well as, I think, at least 3 or 4 additional adult staff that were at the beach. So I already reached out to the Michigan Works site lead that works with Tom and Brenda and that. Tom and Brenda are going to probably do like 1 day a week at the beach, just so that they can
that's
fulfill
good.
the activity where they have to do some new tasks, just to fulfill the requirement for the Michigan Works program, that they learn new skills.
Excellent.
Lisa, I think probably will float between, and she likes being at the beach as well. So I think she would probably spend more time at the beach than Tom and Brenda. But I would probably reach out to the other adult people who were at the beach to see if they would like to come back. I know there was Lorraine, who only did Sundays at the beach. She kind of supplemented her income that way with her regular job. And so I think that towards the end of the last season, she told me she might be moving out of state. So I don't know whether she would be available. Debbie had done a great job for us. And she also filled in as a maintenance person after the season and helped Mel over here and that. So I will reach out to them, but we are possibly going to need additional staff even of those, other than those people.
You're referencing people that were with Michigan Works.
Not all of them.
Who wasn't? Lorraine? Well, I don't know Lorraine.
Lorraine was not, and Debbie was not, and Mel.
Debbie was. She left when Amy left.
She was not Michigan Works. We were actually paying her.
Really?
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah. And Alexis and Zach were also paid staff.
Okay.
So the only one who was Michigan Works actually at the beach was Lisa.
And Mel at the time.
No, Mel was paid.
Well, they came in with Michigan Works, though.
They,
Did the
what
Zoom.
happened is they signed up to inquire about Michigan Works just like I did, but Michigan Works has a strict economic portion to it that you cannot make above, or can't have income above a certain level.
Okay.
That's part of the program.
All right,
And,
my mistake. I thought they all came in Michigan Works.
Well, they all came around that time
Right,
frame
right.
because Amy had a list that she just let people sign up. But when you actually found out about the requirements for Michigan Works, I think there were several of us that just didn't qualify under that program. And so that's how, when it became obvious that Michigan Works did not have additional staff within their program to be able to staff the beach, that was when Amy looked for other staff to actually hire. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that I think the projected income of those staff people at the beach was like $30,000 for just the summer.
Okay. So, all right. Okay, before I would like to see that included. Obviously, we need to see how much that's going to cost us, and we need to put a number on there. But I'm just going to go back a little bit. So on the revenue side, so Rachel tells us that on the tax side, it looks like we're going to go up. Originally, she thought we were going to go like to 219, but it looks like we're going to go to 240. But you can see that we also receive revenue from some other items as well. And I don't see any numbers on that. We're not looking at any grants this year that we're going to be get this coming year?
I think maybe she didn't know.
Okay.
So I don't know whether that's for staff to fill in. I don't know.
Yeah, no, this is for us to fill in. This is for
Yeah.
us to fill in so that
Yeah.
we can do, yeah, no, she won't know. Are there any grants, Mary, that we're going to be looking at or any projections?
I don't know.
Okay.
I would guess that SISMA at least. I heard from Patrick, the head of SISMA,
Mhm.
that July to September is usually when they have their grant program open. So we will look into that to see if there's any of that. And I can inquire as to other grants that might be available to us. But that's part of the, I guess, interplay between the commissions.
Yes.
Because I don't know what you're actually wanting either.
Exactly.
You know, as far as like what type of
No, that's
programming you'd
excellent
like,
point.
what,
Yes.
you know.
Yes. Yeah, we're kind of new to this, so we're learning. Now, this is like Joe said, do it a quarterly basis where we can come back and revise it. So if we get a grant, we will revise our budget and we will incorporate on there so that again, this has to be transparent. We can see how much we're going to be getting, and we can put that in there, and then we'll have to make the proper expenditures, all right? And then this is where, remember I asked you, are there different funds that we follow? So the grant project, for example, when she prepares the budget, she'll prepare a separate item, and it'll show the expenditures just for the grants, okay? So this way we can make sure that we're spending no more, no less than what we said we were gonna get, okay? And it'll come different.
And also, we won't know what this golf is gonna bring in because we haven't got our contract yet.
Yeah, well, we can do a rough
That's gonna be
estimate.
in May.
Yeah.
We can do a rough, like the yoga classes, I don't think we're gonna get 5,000. How much so far have we received from yoga classes? I don't think we have any.
Amy plans on coming back. She said that at the April meeting.
Mhm.
So she does plan to come back
Mhm.
for the yoga classes. And she might even expand into, I think she said, like a strength training, something additional that she was looking into, so.
Okay.
But the other thing is as far as classes, you know, we could offer other classes. I talked to Lauren and Amy when we met with them regarding the MSU extension and 4-H, and mentioned that personally, I would love to offer like some sustainability classes to the community as far as even gardening and food preparation and things like that.
And I think those are all great, Mary, but we're not gonna charge people, right? Those are gonna be,
Well, it depends, because like when Amy was here and did like art classes, there was a fee that was paid to the instructor of those classes, and it was negotiated as far as the fee structure. Generally, I think Amy said that the artist or whoever would get 80% and we would get like 20%. But, you know, it was negotiated depending on the skill and, you know, expense that the instructor was actually putting out.
okay.
But sometimes, like, we used to do senior exercises, and I don't think we charged for those.
No, actually, that was what, in the previous commission, we had that discussion, and the decision had been made at that time that if the program instructor was making money off
Yep.
it, then there would be a fee if to the people attending. But if it was strictly a community type group, that there was no fee, that it would be
That's why I
charged.
used to work closely with Amy. And like I said, well, let's start this program, no charge. And if it becomes popular and everything else for the instructor and everybody else, then we'll charge a minimal fee, you know.
$5,
We ain't
$10.
gonna charge an arm like, let's get in here and try it out. Everybody free, say, hey, we got some free exercise classes. Everybody gets using it, so let's say that we do it for a month or two. And we say, well, with the instructor, you know, yada, yada, yada. And then we can start charging. It depends, like you say, if it's not-for-profit, then it's different, yeah. So that's what we used to do, get them in here, get it free, and then see how it takes off. Because that'll tell you if everybody likes it. 'Cause a lot of times they say, you know, we really like this class. And then you say, well, you mind paying $5 for it every time you come? Oh, sure, heck, yeah, like the art classes and stuff. Usually we had to have an instructor.
Even this week, James reached out to me because someone had reached out to him, Facebook,
Yes,
maybe?
yes.
And that they
Oh.
were interested in reviving that senior exercise
Yeah.
class. I used to participate with the Grand Blanc Senior Center, and their classes were, you know, relatively expensive, I thought, for, you know, a 6-week to 8-week time frame. But you had their use of their building and everything else, so I could see. But I don't know what their expenses are now, because once COVID hit, I dropped out. But
Also, the Loose Center, I was involved in that for a while, with a friend of mine. And there were charges and stuff for, you know, they used to play Wii, the electronic game. The seniors loved Wii, they'd bowl and stuff. So it got going, then they started charging, you know, for the classes. So that's a place you can check with the locals of what they're doing.
yeah, yeah.
That's Fenton, isn't it? The Lou?
Loose
Loose?
is.
Low-C.
Lou?
Oh, Linden.
Losi.
Yeah, it's low-C.
The-
But In Fenton, the community center, the drop-in charge is $12 for yoga. And that's pretty much for all their yoga classes. It's been that way for 2-3 years that I've been going every week. It's $12. You can do a drop-in or you can pay. They have a, electronic through the whole Southern Lakes Parks and Rec that you can electronically pay for the classes, sign up for them, or you can do a drop-in.
Mhm.
In fact, this week in the mail, I think you got your catalog for,
Yes, for the
yeah,
classes that are coming
Southern
up.
Lakes.
Mhm.
You should go.
Yeah, there's a lot of offerings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, point of information,
Sure.
Madam Chair. With whatever we decide to use from the 4-H extension with Amy, it will have to be no charge. I do
Okay.
remember she saying that.
Oh, that's
So
right.
It cannot be
So we're not
charged
making a lot of fee.
4-H.
So it doesn't look like under grants for now, we're gonna put 0 under grants, okay? So we're not gonna say that we have any grants this coming year, so there'll be a 0 for there. But if some do come, then we can come back, amend the budget, and take the proper action. Under yoga classes, it looks like Amy wants to come back and do them. So can we make a projection of at least $1,000? Or we can say 2,000? Mary, what do you think?
I would go for like 2,000, just for the
2,000?
sake that we could also, if the board or if the commission would like,
Mhm.
we could pursue some other classes.
Okay.
I know she had left a binder of different artists that she had previously had, which we could look into, but we could also reach out to other classes as well.
Again, I don't want to lowball it, but I just don't have a good history, and I'm looking back at previous years, and there's like, I see 1,000, so, that's why I said 1,000. But if you want to go to 2,000, again, we can revise our budget, like Joe said, and we can make our changes.
I don't have an objection to starting with 1,000.
You want to start 1,000?
Like,
Okay, I say let's start with 1,000. The next, leagues in the tournament, looks like at least 4,000 for that. Have we done an estimate on how much we're gonna get from them?
I have not.
We don't have anything in here.
Leagues and, yeah, I don't see that.
Year to date.
Yeah, I don't see the year-to-date. No, I wish we did. I mean, the only thing we have is the February statement. Yeah, I wish we'd got a little bit more. Is she on the phone listening to us?
No.
No? Okay.
Now, was the leagues and tournament softball?
The leagues and tournament, I
tournament,
believe
I'm
that was
sorry.
just for,
Disc?
well, because Little League has no charge, right?
Right, no charge.
Yeah. Softball at this point for next year, or for this coming year, they have not committed to anything, and I think the drawback is the time frame that
Right.
Little League requires. That it's difficult for them because a lot of people don't want to come on Friday night or a weekend.
Well, that's the only other leagues we had was fall ball, summer ball, fall ball, and they used to have tournaments. So that's what they all paid for, so that hasn't happened.
Well, when I spoke last to the person involved with softball, he was trying to get the people interested in possibly following Little League and doing that, but he's never called back, so I
Yeah,
don't know.
because I see 0 in 24, 25.
I agree.
So I'm gonna go ahead and put 0 again?
Yeah.
Okay. And then concessions at the beach, $500 last year? Does that-
Actually, this past year, we
Mhm.
did not do concessions at all.
Okay.
And that is one of the things that for this year,
Mhm.
the staff itself would like to offer concessions, but strictly ready-made, pop, water, maybe
Chips.
chips,
Mhm.
ice cream.
Mhm.
Definitely would like to do ice cream for the sake that children who have attended previously apparently remember that they used to get ice cream. And
Mm.
it's very difficult to look at a child
Bomb pops, they love bomb pops.
Yeah, so, we're assuming that possibly they did it because of issues that they ran into, collecting money and, balancing kind of a thing. But I
Right.
don't know that at all for
So,
fact.
so remember,
So-
everyone, if we put money here for revenue, that means we have to put some money in for expenditures. We have to buy whatever it is we're going to take. So hopefully, again, we have to balance the budget. So I hate to say we're going to buy $500 worth of supplies and not get at least a little bit more.
Yeah, not break even.
Not break even at least.
It doesn't balance.
Yeah, that doesn't balance. Because I know in some other communities, we have to monitor the inventory carefully.
Mhm.
'Cause
There's
it-
ways that can be done.
Mhm.
For example, the Little League uses Square as their inventory
Oh,
and
yes,
payment
yes.
system.
That's a good one.
There's a lot of things that can be done with Square.
Okay.
That would be what I would recommend.
Okay. Will there be a fee to set that up, though?
There will be a equipment fee. I don't know for sure how much. Little League, because these are cell phones. However, there is a terminal actual that you can purchase that is a standalone, and it stays there, and you can program all the employees in there. I mean, we can keep track of who brings in what and this, that, and the other thing.
Now, I like Square, but the only thing is we're not going to be selling anything super duper expensive.
Oh, no. For Little League, for example, my wife is the concessions manager, and we have everything set at $1. Everything set at $1, and we make a pretty profit from the concessions that we put into other expenditures that the league has to deal with throughout the year. So, yeah, it doesn't have to be a lot of money.
Okay.
Most of it is cash. However, we have the option of accepting credit cards.
And that's what Square is. Y'all know
Yeah.
that, right?
Yeah.
It's a little square. Kids have credit cards. It's the parents, I understand. Okay. All right, so does everybody agree that we should have concessions this coming year?
Absolutely.
What do
I
y'all
think
think?
it'd be a missed opportunity if we don't.
Okay.
Absolutely.
The one thing, though, we will have to do, because last year we did not run the freezer or the Pepsi machine that is existing there, so we'll have to plug them in to make sure that they
work.
are operational,
Mhm.
because that would be a big expense if we had to replace those right up. from-
Question for you, Mary.
Yeah.
The Pepsi machine you're talking about, is that just a cooler, or is it a?
It is a large machine, like you see
Commercial.
in a party store.
Okay.
It's like one.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's not a soft drink dispensing. Okay.
No, it's you'd actually put like
Okay.
canned stuff in there.
So we just fill it up
Right.
with canned?
Yep.
And the problem
Coke.
we have is, we usually don't stick enough water in the thing. This thing's huge. It's a side-by-side. I mean, it's big. It costs us more to run that big, nasty Pepsi machine just to keep cold water in there. So that's why last year, we unplugged the damn thing, because it didn't pay off. And then we were trying to sell it, but they said we had to clear that with Pepsi Cola to sell because it's got Pepsi in it.
Mm.
So we just used the refrigerator for a long time because that dang Pepsi cooler, it runs all the time. And every time you open it, you close it, open it, close it.
Well, the other thing is that when they were researching that, the previous commission, they found that Pepsi owns the machine, so you could not actually sell it outright.
Right.
So that was a problem. But the other thing is the existing dorm type refrigerator. If we're actually offering concessions, I don't think it's big enough. So either we'd have to purchase a second one or something.
Or somebody donate their other refrigerator, a regular, real refrigerator.
Well,
Is there a contract with Pepsi that we have that?
no.
Yeah, I'm surprised with that, Mary, because usually, like you were saying, Cindy, we would just contract with a with Pepsi or with Coke or whatever, and they're responsible for filling in, you know, the machines, and then they just give us a percentage of whatever profit they make. But I know that's not as simple as it sounds, but usually
Well,
that's what
I guess my
happens.
concern as well is the fact that even though Seven Lakes was closed last summer,
Mhm.
and Ropeland, towards the end of the season, had multiple weeks that they were with E. coli issues.
Mhm.
Um, we never had a crowded beach. And so if you are actually having a contractor come in, whether it's Pepsi, Coke, or even an independent person, I don't know that there's enough business
Okay.
for them
There
to
is.
actually.
Okay, well, that's a
Service
good
it.
point. Yeah,
That's
yeah,
why I
they're not
wondered
gonna
if
do it,
it's a
yeah.
Contract, or, I mean, if we can't sell it,
We can sell it if we get a transfer from Pensacola saying, you now own this machine. Because the last person to fix that machine was Harvey Sorensen.
Oh, my God.
Lost its refrigeration. He came in, no charge. He got it going. So we had to get a hold of Pensacola and say, hey, this is your machine. And if you want it, take it, get it out of here. Or give it to us so we can sell it. So that's what we gotta get is a separation agreement from Pensacola, from what I understand.
So I like the idea of concessions, but it sounds like we still have a lot of research to do before we do
Yeah,
this.
Yeah.
So,
And most people just wanna buy water.
Well, no, and that's what the very basics.
Okay.
I don't think we are
Chips,
looking
water.
at. Yes,
chips and water.
exactly.
Yeah, ice
That's
cream.
it.
No, chips, water, and ice cream.
Ice cream. Ice cream sells the best.
You
but
guys.
then we just have to have a freezer.
Yes.
Yes.
Exactly.
So, I mean,
Yeah.
We got a freezer.
Mm.
Well, if it works, we have to.
There's
reach
one
it.
there, there's one here that works.
Well, I
One
know,
in the
but we
back room.
can't.
Is there anything in the one in the back room
Oh, I don't know.
that we're using for a tool bench?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna recommend that we put 500 again. And
Yeah.
Mary, do not spend more than 500. We'll put on the budget.
Okay.
You know, but first, check to see, obviously, if the freezer doesn't work, then we're not gonna sell ice cream. Sorry, guys. But, just chips and water. Okay. All right, then disc golf, we don't have a contract with them, but boy, it doesn't look like we're doing very well here.
Well, they did have, on the 5th, a tournament. They are going to have a tournament on the 19th. They have one date in May and one date in July currently.
Mhm.
And then they have a weekly league, I think, which Dave had previously charged like $1 to each person, and there was a $5 fee to them, and $1 came to the parks. And, so I'm going to be providing the commissioners with a packet of information regarding the disc golf
Mhm.
and information on the conversation that I had with Laura Lontine and some emails that had gone around. I sent some of them to you, but there's more recent data on that. And then they are going to turn in, following these tournaments, the amount, because there's a separate amount for that from the weekly league.
Mhm.
And so they'll be doing that. And I would like during the actual May meeting to bring this up and possibly invite them to do a presentation or at least come to speak to the board.
Okay, so it looks like in 2020, 22, 23 was 6,000, and then it went down to 2,500, and then last year was only 1,000. Where are we on our revenue for that?
Nothing.
Nothing?
Do you know what we took in?
I don't,
Hmm.
I can ask Rachel about that.
I think that's
With
can she
the-
bring it to our next meeting?
I'm sorry,
Mhm, no, sir.
with the comparison to the budget that Rachel had submitted, it says that we have received $715 from
Oh,
disc
yeah,
golf
sorry. I was
from
looking at-
July through February.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I thought I saw that. Okay.
Yeah.
So if they've got a couple of more events, it looks like we could potentially maybe get 2,000?
Yeah.
Would that be a good projection?
Yeah, because this probably was July, June, July, well, it was last summer that this reflects.
Yes.
We're coming into that. So if we even doubled it, you're, at, let's say 1,500, if we're confident we can do more.
You want to lower that number to 1,500? I haven't qualms with that. I mean, it's, again, that's being
I
safe.
think we're between 1,500 and 2,000.
Yeah,
So
I'd say 2,000.
two,
You think too?
He's got leagues now too.
right?
That's gonna add to the amount of money we get.
We should get a projection from them, Mary, at least to see what they, how much, they give
What
us a good
turn-
projection.
Yes,
Yeah.
there you can interrupt.
Mhm.
Well,
what
that
a-
will come when we negotiate
When
a
you do that.
contract with this, will be their league
You guys are gonna be
schedule,
tough.
what we get, because we don't have a contract signed with them.
Well, I know that when I did speak with Laura, she said that they don't want to do too many tournaments either, because then you kind of lose the interest of people coming out. So, I think they want to cap it at like 4 or 5 possibly during the particular year. So,
And this is all Flint Flyers?
no.
No?
No, two of them were Flint Flyers.
Okay.
And there was one that was a separate, and then there's another one, the July one is a totally separate one.
Okay.
And that's the biggest thing, is we don't, as you know, we have a lot of disc golfers here, and it's free, so that's part of our
Correct.
recreation too.
Yeah.
I'd like to get some kind of number on that.
Well, that is a good point, because now that we have this cleared, you can see the disc golfers, and they come through at all hours.
All day long.
Morning,
Yeah, they do.
afternoon, evening, and,
Even in the rain.
rain and sleet.
Oh, my.
Usually I go up, most of the disc golfers park on this side of the parking lot. Where there's
Yeah.
baseball or dog ballers, they park on the other side of the parking lot.
Yeah.
So there's always 8 to 12 cars, usually 4 times a week out there during the week playing disc golf from 10 o'clock in the morning till dark.
Yeah.
So we're gonna go with 2.
Catching it.
So we're gonna go with 2?
Let's move
Okay,
on.
we're gonna go with 2,000. Okay, moving right along, 2,000. Beach tags, we received 0. What
We
happened
made
there?
a decision not to require beach tags.
Okay. Does that continue?
I totally agree that we shouldn't be charging for a beach tag.
Okay. So now, what happens here is if we continue this practice after a certain amount of time, we will remove this item. Again, this is with auditing procedures. I think it takes at least 3 years or
Yeah,
so.
3 years.
3 years.
3 years you gotta,
Mhm.
then you can delete it.
Then
otherwise
you
it's
can,
gotta stay on.
it's got to stay on for, for transparency. All right.
So we're on special events.
Special events, 1,000. Have we received any money on special events yet, Mary? I don't see anything.
I have not been approached, other than one woman had sent, and this was probably 3 months ago, just introducing herself. And she was a singer, and I think she just was basically sending it out to parks in general and offering her services.
Okay.
So,
All right, All right, I guess we're gonna put 0. 'Cause I don't see anything coming up. This is something that we're gonna have to work on for this next year, and maybe ahead of time, so that when we work on the budget for the next year, we'll be able to come up with a better number. Because I don't know of any special events that we can charge, that we can do.
I've thought of having, towards the end of the summer,
Mhm.
a beach party where we have like a cover band that does like Beach Boys and
Oh,
summertime
that would be cool.
music.
Yeah.
And we utilize the pavilion, kind of hoop it up, we charge.
We charge, but you have to come up with it like now. Okay, if it happens, we can work on it, and then we'll come back. So for now, we're just
Okay,
gonna put 0.
I'll work on it, because I
Okay?
do know a local band.
That does sings Beach Boy stuff?
They could. I mean, when I first thought of this, it would be a
Mhm.
cover band,
Mhm.
a real cover band.
Oh, that would be
does
nice.
Beach
End of summer?
Boy knockoffs, but
Mhm. Or beginning?
that might be difficult.
So is it beginning or end of summer?
It would be more towards the end when we're sure that it's warm and
Okay.
we got long nights and we got the beach painted and picked up and, we're comfortable with it.
Okay.
I think it'd be a
Can I
good
point out one thing
audition.
though? I think the beach is supposed to be non-alcoholic.
Yeah.
I didn't say anything about alcohol.
Okay, just,
Yeah.
No alcohol?
Yeah, well, you have to check the, no coolers that they get, yeah, it would be,
But that would still be kind of nice to have an event for the beach, and everybody can come and have one big old picnic, and we'll do the band, and that's what we charge.
had one years ago, it was tied in with the village, and we showed the movie Jaws on the side. We had
Wouldn't that be
guards
cool?
out there, keep people out of the water, in the summer one.
I don't know about Jaws, but...
And we showed Jaws out there at the beach.
I mean, that would
We
be
also
fun
had
to have a
paid
movie.
royalties for Jaws, so it wasn't a moneymaker,
Yeah.
but we broke even.
Okay.
we could plan
We got a
movies,
plan.
2 a month or something.
Okay, so we got a plan. We got to
Yeah,
start.
This
so-
might be a huge thing now.
Well, this is going to be huge.
We packed the beach when we had Jaws.
I can imagine you did.
Yeah, and
I
gave
bet.
away free- We gave away free popcorn.
Swimsuit contest,
Oh,
everything.
my Lord.
hey.
Okay, well, I'm going to put 0 for now, but if you can come up with something, okay, we can amend
We'll
our
revisit
budget.
this,
Okay, we'll revisit. And then the interest and dividends, I think she knows she's projecting 2,000, so I'm going to leave that alone. And rent or lease of Part 2, again, I don't see anything.
We did, and we have a charge, our thing is, we charge them a cleanup deposit,
Mhm.
and if it's clean, I think it's $100, if it's clean.
I think it was 50.
Yeah, we dropped, it wasn't, we started out on our drop to 50, if you keep it clean, you get your 50 back, so it's free rental.
So we should still do this. We, according to accounting principles, we bring it in as revenue, and then we pay it out as expense. So have we not done that? I guess it's not time yet.
They
Well-
did a graduation party here.
Okay.
I'm aware of, but
Did we charge?
that was the 50 and they gave it back because they left it.
There was a cleanup deposit.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
Same with disc golf, usually rents that for their tournaments.
Mhm.
If they clean it up, it's free. You get a $50 deposit.
Well, I don't want them just to clean it up. I want them to make sure that they, I mean, more than, does somebody go and check? Does one of our staff goes and check to make sure they do it really well?
Yeah, we send our crew out, our cleanup crew on Monday,
Mhm.
and they go check the trash. That's why we told this year, Little League, take the trash, put it in the dumpster, because our people are tied up with Little League trash. I mean, it's a mess out there, so that's why we put in the contract, you take care of the mess you make. And that's what it is with all of our rentals, $50 deposit, cleanup deposit. If you got it cleaned up, you get your $50 back.
Okay.
But we used to rent them out for $100, and we used to have like, the beach one was, you got the use of the beach and so many customers. We used to make some money on that, but times came tough. So we dropped it, so you could go swimming, you didn't have to have beach change, you were allowed like 25 people with your crew, that came in, and it was all included in the rent. But we dropped that. We used to make good money.
Well, the other thing is I had brought it up with the previous commission that we do need to formalize a contract of that
Rental
rental,
contract, yeah.
both at the beach and for this
Yeah,
building.
we used to have one around somewhere, because we'd have them sign it, and they'd have to agree with it.
I had copies, and then I also inquired about neighboring
Yes.
communities and stuff, and brought that, and we just never took it to the next step, so that will be something we'll have to look at.
So I'm going to propose that we put at least 200 on each, and of course, if they do as Joe said, they clean up, then we pay them back on the other side expense. So it goes. We have funds that we come in and funds that go out to repay them. But we have to keep track of the money that we get. Or do we just hold on to the check?
We just hold on to the check.
And we don't.
If Mary wanted to
Mhm.
use the beach or up here, she'd write out a check to Holly Township Parks, and when it got done, we'd sit there and go, okay, we inspected it, and here's your check back. So it wasn't, we weren't taking in money, we were holding money as a deposit for cleanup. that wasn't rental, that was deposit for cleanup. So we give back the check, so here's your check back, see you later.
I don't know if that's accounting-wise allowable, but I guess I can talk to.
Speaking for the
Accountant.
beach, I would propose that we do charge for the pavilion. We get parties there, birthday parties, we get grad parties,
Graduation party.
graduation parties, and, you know, what, that's worth something.
We used to average 6 rentals, just off the top of my head,
Yeah.
6 rentals of the beach every summer, at $100.
You know,
And I don't know what the villages charge. I think they dropped their charge too, because they used to charge. Then they just charge a cleanup charge. So that's all we said, how can we charge? But yeah,
I
it used to
think,
be $100, $100.
I'm
That's
thinking
cheap.
$50
Was
to
electricity
rent
down
that
there?
for the day.
Yeah, we can do some comparables, maybe put that on for an upcoming meeting.
For the next meeting in May. Okay, so we're gonna leave this blank, both of these, or we can put 200 or whatever, but let's do some, who wants to do the research on that, so you can come back? Will you take a look at this?
And I can help, I can do it.
Okay, all right. See what other cities are doing and come
Well,
up
you
with
have
some
that.
estimates.
You have a lot of that already, so talk to Mary.
Okay, talk to Mary and get some comparables, and then we can put a number there. So even if we just charge $50 to lease, or even 25, to lease.
The other thing is, though, is that I think we have 3 people who have committed to using the beach pavilion already this summer, and I think we already quoted them that
Yeah.
there was just the $50 cleanup
Yeah.
fee.
Okay, so it'll go into effect next year?
No, after those people use it, anybody
Okay.
else that signs up, we have to pay.
Okay.
And maybe it's
Are
a
they in the-
deposit, and then with cleanup,
I have
you
to
get
look
half
at
of
the
it.
calendar.
Yeah, I would
So
say.
we make some
yeah.
money out of it.
Mhm. Yeah, that's why it doesn't make any sense to hold the check, because it's use of our staff time, use of our, okay.
And one more thing I want to add to
Mhm.
an event or a possibility of a revenue generator would be that we purchase a couple stand-up paddle boards or kayaks,
Mhm.
and we rent those on an hourly basis.
Where are you gonna run them?
One of them?
Can't run kayaks in the beach.
Oh, no, it would be outside.
No, liability. Legally, you cannot come into Holly Township Beach, and if you leave the swimming area we have, you can't come back in. And if you swim over from Lakeside Park and come into our beach, you go
can't
back.
come in, yeah.
It's against the lowest law, and it's also against our liability.
Yeah, that's the one concern that I was going to say about the liability.
Because
We're
we
gonna have to
talk
look at
about
this a little
getting
closer.
into business of Canoe rental and stuff, or kayak, when it first started coming big. No, we have to use the boat launch. So everybody uses the boat launch, and they go down there to Waterworks Park, all the kayakers, or they go over to the one on,
Fish Lake Road,
yeah, Fish Lake.
Maybe we
That's
should do
all
some more
kayakers.
research on that. Yeah. Let's-
Because
it's really nice now,
just
they
the
did a good job on it.
liability issue is a question.
Well, it's not just the liability.
I mean,
It's,
It was trails, yeah.
so remember, whatever we
A
do,
waiver would have to be something.
we could do the waiver thing, but a waiver they can still sue, okay?
But
Mhm.
we were gonna sell the wraps, and I talked to Karen.
Mhm.
We're gonna put them on Facebook.
Mhm.
She said, why? Because of liability. She said, there is none. Because we're a government.
No, there is liability.
Well, it's under gross negligence, but I was led to believe we could put wraps out there, but we chose not to, because we know what kids do unsupervised. We held off last year until we are comfortable and we have a staff and we have lifeguards. But, because we're a government entity, you typically can't sue, but only
No.
under gross negligence.
No.
Rochester Hills last year had rafts. They had to pull the rafts because they didn't have lifeguards. And I said to everybody on our board, get a hold of Rochester Hills, see if they want to buy a couple rebuilt rafts. Because those are dang nice rafts.
Well, it's not just that, but Joe really kind of brought to mind, so if we were to buy these rafts, then we have to maintain them. And so let's just say that we don't do a good job at maintaining them, somebody rents them, gets into an accident, and who's liable? We are. Because we're leasing this boat and we're not taking care of it well, we have to maintain it. So it's not just buying a boat, we have to maintain it, we have to make sure we have the proper staff, we have to make sure that somebody's checking that these individuals can swim, that, they have the proper lifeguard
If you go out to the
equipment.
rafts on the deep end, you had to pass the lifeguard safety swim test across that beach so many times before you could go out 10 more feet.
It's good, this is all good. We just need to do a little bit more research and be better prepared, and we'll see where we go. Because I hate to turn everything, I mean, we have beautiful parks, we should be able to do some really great programs, but like Joe says, unfortunately, there are some,
We do not have lifeguards, that's why we had to post that. As soon as you put them rafts out, it's a whole different ballgame. And I think it's under the law, you have to have lifeguards, and we can't get lifeguards. Oakland County's Parks is in the same thing. Rochester Hills is in the same thing. They're asking, they were gonna have $1,000, $500,000 signups for lifeguards.
I know.
Pay them 25 to 30 bucks an hour.
That's
It didn't
true.
happen. Didn't get nobody. Holy cow.
I know we looked at that in Lansing, and that was terrible. It was really hard for us to find lifeguards. Okay, so for now, a no.
I have
Well,
one more thing.
Sure, this is what we're here for.
4th of July parking. The village charged $10 to park at their park. We didn't charge anything. We missed the boat.
Now, let's back up on that. Did they couldn't charge on the street going in, could they?
They-
They used the cemetery for parking also.
They did there, they did in front of their park, and they shut down Elm Street, they shut down all the thoroughfares.
So that they can
No
park on it.
parking, so they forced the parking, and they were collecting $10 a car.
I didn't realize they were collecting.
I'm pretty sure it was
My
10.
neighbor across Kitty Court from me, the old farmhouse, she always charged $10 a car. And she made $250,
There you
$200
go.
a night for her cars.
So,
That's a good spot for
everybody,
it.
the beach is packed with people, because it's a beautiful place to
It
watch
shuts
fireworks.
down, yeah.
And we had free parking. We missed the boat on that.
Well, wait a minute, okay, so are you talking about the Independence Day celebration?
4th of July?
Okay, 4th of July. So what happens with that money is it goes to pay for the fireworks. Because I know, because I'm on that committee. That's what we're doing. So
Which
it goes
makes more
back.
sense.
Yeah.
I mean, it does.
I'm leaving.
And
I'm trying to make
I
some
said
money here.
fireworks, I know.
All right.
It goes to pay for the fireworks.
Well, we used
Yeah.
to pay, every year we used to pay $500 for the fireworks from High Township Beach. We used to donate to the fireworks committee.
Okay.
We donate $500.
We should do that
We could
again.
start
I would love
doing
to
that.
do that.
Yeah.
We should.
We can put that in the budget, okay? We can put that in our budget.
Yeah.
'Cause I know-
like that.
Yeah, I think so too.
And then you're gonna have 2 employees collecting money at the street all night till the parking lot gets full, and you gotta shut off the parking lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna be
You're have
helping them.
2 employees out there running the parking lot.
Yep, we're gonna be helping them on that, so.
And from what time to what time?
Right.
Do you know what part of the budget that would fall under?
It would be an expense.
That much we know.
I know that part.
That would be under
That's
beach
good.
service.
No, it wouldn't be.
Maybe.
It would be an expense. Okay,
Okay.
so contributions, looks like at least we get $500 from something. So I'm gonna say let's continue that. If it happens, it happens.
That's fair.
And miscellaneous, I'm gonna say 0. The same thing for miscellaneous part 2, because we haven't been getting anything for 2 years. So
Okay.
it'll be 0. So when we add all this up,
I'll do it. We got 3.
now you're gonna put something for the lease? You wanna put $100 there each?
Lease, rent lease.
Uh-huh. I know Cindy's gonna,
I put 2.
I thought we did 200 on.
200? Okay, 200
So we're up
each.
to 3,900.
Okay. So, did you add the 240?
I got 3,000 off the bat. Oh, no,
Go.
wait, I'm sorry.
So it's
So are we
240.
still with concessions at 500?
Yes.
Okay.
Mhm. Where it's 240 and.
Interest and dividend, okay. I didn't.
Yeah, do it over again. So it's 240, 1,000, 500, 2,000, 2,000, 400, 500.
Our new total is 6,400.
6,400, but did you add the 240,000? When I said 240, I meant 240,000.
Oh, no, this is just for these additionals.
Okay,
that
so
we
six,
added.
how much did you get? Okay, so
6,400.
6,400, and add 240,000 to that.
246,400.
Okay, so that's what our projected revenues are for next year. Okay, so
46,000.
246,400.
we cannot exceed that amount, all right? And we have to, every 3 months, we monitor it based on the reports, and if our revenue comes in as projected, then we can continue, but if the revenue, something happens, then we have to go back and look at our budget and say, okay, slow down, you know, we're not stop buying pop, we're not selling them. Slow down, okay?
Okay.
All right, okay, so now we got the revenues done. Yes, now we're looking at expenses, and Mary mentioned salaries, park salaries. And who can get us that number, Mary? Is that something that, that you and Rachel can work on in
Yes.
terms of, okay? I know you said 30,000, but,
That was the amount that Amy had told me.
mhm.
But I can get the actual numbers from
Yeah, because it looks like 34, we've been spending 34,000 the last 3 years.
Question mark.
Yes, sir.
I mean, when we put question mark there,
Oh.
we get the information.
Okay, question mark, all right. And then the director's salary. Can we change that to managers?
Yeah,
Just
we gotta get rid of that.
Yeah, gotta get rid of that word.
Director, yep.
manager's salary? And then the program coordinator, that would be 0. And then social security, this is something that Rachel can give us. Mary?
Social Security?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, social security, pension, it's usually like a percentage of the salary, so she can, you know, estimate it. And then the same thing for park salaries, that's, you know, it's just an estimate. I don't know what the percentage, I forgot, I used to know that, but it's just a percentage. We don't offer pensions, we don't offer health insurance, so that will be 0.
Now, insurances, we still, even on their part-time, we have to pay workman's comp.
Yeah, oh, that's not the same. That's not the same as health insurance, that'd be
No.
different, right.
But under insurances,
Oh, no, but this is health insurance.
yeah.
Mhm.
So that would be different. It would say workers' comp on here. It would say workers' comp.
It's further down, I think.
Is it further down?
Well, insurance is, and it's, looks like a pretty amount.
Where do you see
There's
that?
a- No,
It's on
that's
the-
our park insurance.
Oh, that's our park insurance, yeah.
Oh, okay.
We need
Yeah,
a,
so
we
we
need a
need
line
a-
item for workers' comp. Do we, again, Rachel should give us that number? And it's a percentage of the salary again?
Yep.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
may I take 5 minutes?
Yes, sir, please. Can we take a 5-minute break then, for all of us? Yes, so we're gonna take a
What you have to
5-minute
do is
break?
You have to make a motion to take a 5-minute break.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Okay, do I have a motion to take a 5-minute break?
I make that motion that we take a 5-minute recess.
Okay,
Support.
supported by Mr. Hutchins. All those in favor?
No, roll call vote.
Roll call vote.
Right?
I know.
Yes.
Roll call vote.
Hutchins?
Yeah.
DeSessa?
Yes,
Carl?
Yes.
Earl? Yes. Motion passed.
thank you. Okay, please turn your mics off. Okay? Meeting back to, I'll call this meeting back to order, please. Okay, so we were just going through the revenues, and that's all set, and now we're going through the actual budget, the expenditures. And under park salaries, we're asking the manager and Rachel to come up with a number. It's going to probably be around 30 to 34,000, probably, more or less, the same as it's been in past years. And this way, this will give us sufficient dollars to pay. Now, who comes out of this line item, Mary?
What's that?
On their park salaries, is this Mel and others?
This was actually the beach staff as well.
Oh, okay. So it's Mel and the beach staff? Okay.
Yes.
So that would be 3 people?
You
know.
I don't know. There
Oh,
there were
that's right, I
several
forget, I
that
apologize,
worked at the
it's more
beach.
than that,
Could
yeah.
be,
I think the only person that was with Michigan Works that was at the beach was Lisa. So there were at least 5
Yeah,
or
about
6 that I know of
Okay.
that were also beach staff.
They were on our payroll.
Yes.
Okay. All right, and now we have the director's salary, the manager's salary, 0 for program coordinator, we don't have that anymore. And then social security, it's a number that we ask Rachel to come up with. And no pension, no health. And then accounting fees, that's to pay our accountant. Do we have a contract with our accountant?
Yes.
We do?
Yes.
Okay. For how long is it?
1 year.
It's 1 year.
1 year?
And we'll have to see about when that would renew
Okay.
and who the contact. Would it be through me or through?
Would be through you. You would
Okay.
be.
I thought we
mhm.
just renewed her
We
contract.
did.
here
We did.
Beginning of the year, Rachel's.
It's-
So is accounting as in bookkeeping, or is that the auditor?
No, the auditor's further
like
down.
Oh, okay, I see that. Okay.
7,000.
Yeah.
Renewed Rachel's contract, I think.
We
Okay.
did, and I
Yeah,
think-
not too long ago.
Did I see it's 900 and some?
I'm sorry?
It's 900 and some?
Yeah, I think it is.
I think.
You
it
mean,
is.
oh, you see the monthly, the bills?
Yeah, I read it somewhere. And I took note of how much it increased substantially.
Mhm.
Accounting
Well, that
fees,
was-
475. That was
See,
in
that was-
February. Yep.
Yeah, and now the next was, unless it was doubled for some reason, because.
Yes, because there was an explanation that came through at one point where she, I think she was away for a month, and then
Okay,
she
so
didn't
that explains the
actually.
900.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, alrighty. All right, so we're gonna leave that as such, still at 5,500. Beach operating supplies, now this is where we put the ice cream. So we're gonna put 500 on there?
I thought that'd be under concessions.
Under concessions, oh, okay, so beach operating supplies.
I purchased last year the mints for the urinals and cleaning supplies for the toilets, a sanitizer for the floors. Now, some of that is left. I know the sanitizer probably didn't get used that much.
It's on the other side, though, it's on the other page. Turn it around.
Are you saying sanitary disposal?
Oh,
Is
no,
that what
that's
you mean?
trash, yeah.
No, this I think is under the operating supplies.
Okay. All right, so.
Did you turned in a receipt and stuff for
I
that?
did,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
So,
It was just Amazon purchase.
So
Oh,
we
and
should-
paper towels for the bathrooms.
Yeah,
Oh, and I bought new dispensers for the paper towels. And are we looking possibly, Joe, at new sinks?
I think, yes,
No?
Mel said one of them, and I think it might be the girls' bathroom. The sink is like
Coming off the wall?
I think it's just gotta be remounted,
I don't know.
because they got anchors in the wall.
so that would not be a supply, that would be,
That'd be beach repairs.
yeah, beach repairs.
Or beach maintenance.
Yeah.
So, okay, so under operating supplies, I'm gonna recommend that we put
250?
2,000?
No.
No.
I bet you could get what we need, the items I discussed for $250.
Yeah, about that.
250?
Unless, now,
I don't know.
if we need ropes and buoys to mark the beach, because I know those ones we have are pretty ancient. And if that's the case, then I think we ought to go up to like 750 to
Or
1,000.
wait till you price rope and buoys.
Mhm.
Yeah,
So let's put 1,000.
I did buy some new rope last year.
The rope ain't
Enough to
cheap.
go from north to south, east to west, north to south.
So I'm gonna give you 1,000. Don't go over that.
Maybe the deep end, well, yeah.
Yeah.
I was gonna give you 2,000. All right, 1,000. We're gonna put 1,000. Everybody okay with that?
That's more than I think we need, but that's okay.
Everybody, Joe?
That's
James?
the
Yeah, I agree,
operating
yeah.
supplies?
Well, we can always move it if it's not.
Yeah,
Yep.
yes,
So we're going to 1,000.
right. And then operating, ooh. But that's for the beach, for beach, operating supplies is 1,000, and then operating supplies, I guess that's us, Mary? That would be us?
I would guess that it is.
Mm-hmm. So I'm gonna leave it at 2,000, because that's what Rachel thinks we're spending around that amount. Office expense, I'm gonna go ahead and leave it at 3,000. I don't think that's a huge amount.
So does,
Whoa.
just a question,
Yes.
does the office expense, does that include things like the Microsoft
That-
Mhm.
that-
expenses or that
Mhm.
Square?
Mm-hmm. Oh, no, the square would be different. That would, well, that's a good
Wouldn't that
question.
be under the beach equipment?
Yeah, that would be under the, or under the,
Excuse me?
Not operating?
Do we need to boost that to your 2,000, original 2,000?
yeah, under the operating supplies? Because that's
Excuse
where
me.
the square is gonna go and everything.
Well, I mean, I'm not quite sure.
Because see, okay, so here's the issue that I have, all right? So we're gonna spend, oh, never mind, I apologize. I'm wrong. I'm wrong. Remember I said when we do the concessions, it has to balance?
Mhm.
And, and I keep forgetting the beach supplies is more than just, it's not the concessions, I apologize. So I was thinking, oh my goodness, we're gonna spend 2,000 just to make 500?
There is a line item for beach equipment capital
Yep.
expenditures. I
Yeah,
wonder if that
that's
would be-
different.
Yeah,
That's
what
where
I
we
was-
would
yeah.
put it. So no, we can leave it at 2,000.
Okay.
And we'll put it someplace else. All right. And softball expenses, we didn't put any money there last year.
No.
No.
Okay, so 0. Class, special events. How can we have,
How come?
yeah.
How
Mary,
come
what happened here?
Talk about a non-balance.
Yeah. We don't make any money, and we're spending.
So if we talk to Rachel, would she be able to give us some input into what went into that $3,500?
You know what? I think I kind of know what it is. I think I know what it is. So we have done some special events. We have, all right? We have. But we didn't charge anything. But we did spend some money. It wasn't a ton, but it was some. And I remember one event that I attended. I was the only one there. Because we just didn't get a chance to promote it. But James is going to help change all that so that more people will come and we'll be able to advertise for that. So,
The only thing I can think of, Halloween, candy was purchased, donut holes. At one
That was
point,
for community expenditures, 'cause
Mhm.
we did a joint venture with Village Parks.
okay,
And I think we spent right around $500
Yeah.
on candy. And we took all of our games up there and stuff.
so there should be, I think, an expense, but it certainly isn't $3,500.
well, is this where we could put the $500 for, that we're going to contribute to the village for,
No, I
No?
think that would be under the community promotion
Mhm.
okay. All right, you're right, okay.
on the back account. I think it's 881 or 880.
Well, the,
Sorry.
And I understand, the only reason I'm hesitant to reduce it is because we really need to do a little bit more research. Mary, you want to look at this a little bit closer, Mary, before we reduce it? Because there may be some events that we do, like holiday, and I think we do more than just
Well, we used to do,
candy and donut
Easter.
holes.
years ago, well, we used to do the egg.
And
hunt.
we're gonna do the egg hug
Our two
next
events
year.
were the egg hunt and Halloween.
Yeah, we're gonna do the egg
Those
hunt.
are special events.
Yeah, let's keep it at 30. And if we don't spend it all, we don't spend it all, remember.
So we keep it at 35.
Let's keep it at 35 for now, and if we don't spend it, obviously we don't, we'll watch this one carefully, because it's been going down every year.
But would that also be possibly your beach day, the movie night at beaches, the beach party, something like that?
I think it's next page. I'm gonna,
That might be the community promotion.
one of the things I want to talk to her with Rachel, and again, this is something new, but maybe break this budget up into like little mini divisions. So like, we'll have the beach, expenses, just by itself, a little beach, and then we'll have the nature center expenses and things of that nature. I'll talk to her, but again, I'm just starting, so I'm not gonna change the boat, as they say, but I will next year, so that the budget will be a little bit more clear, and then also include what we've spent last year, is what I would like to see that in next year's budget. And the other thing I would like to see is projections, like where it says 25, 26 budget, it should say projections. And then we're gonna need another column that says recommended. So like these changes that we're making, that would fall under that item. So you can see these are the recommendations that Rachel and the manager made, and then these are the additions that the Parks Commission did. And you could see. Again, this is just for, again, documentation purposes and transparency and all that good stuff. And then Mary can come back and yell at us for not giving her the money she needs. But I'm not gonna, change too much. This is our first year, and it worked, and we'll see. But then next year, I'd like to maybe see where we break it up into divisions, and we can see how much is it costing us to pay for personnel at the beach, just the beach. How much is it costing us for here at the nature center, and all the expenses. Just break it up into little divisions, and then we'll see. But we'll do that next year.
Good idea.
I think the square will assist with that too, because it also
Yes,
includes the time clock
definitely.
function.
Mhm.
So,
That's the biggest thing, is we have a maintenance person that works both places. So
Mhm.
we charge, the beach gets charged
Right.
that much when Mel's there,
Mhm.
this place gets that here.
And we budget accordingly. We break it up, so this way we can show it. Like right now, everything is put into one pot.
Well, Mel's put into one pot.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, Mel. But, and Rachel, and it's easy, it's easier, everything is put into one pot. But next year's budget, I'll work with Rachel and our manager, and we'll start creating, yeah, so this way we can see a little bit more, okay? All right. So we're gonna keep 35. Disc golf, nothing, because we're not supposed to spend anything on disc golf, right? We're just revenue.
Correct.
So, okay, so 0.
now, a question about that. Would that be the signs that we have that they're continuing to put up?
As far as I know, all the disc golf signs have been put up. The only ones we have left to put up is trail markers.
Okay,
Which didn't
all right,
have-
that's
didn't
good.
get finished. Where's the Boy Scouts? They
The
did
other
it
thing
last-
is that we briefly touched on it when we were talking about the entrance last year, is the disc golf banner
Yeah.
that's right at the entrance. It badly needs to be replaced, or something else, because it's getting really worn.
It is.
So,
And that's up to the disc golf people, not us.
no, because actually, the commission paid for that, the printing of that.
But it's for disc golf.
It is for disc golf, but it was not disc golf that paid for that previously. It was the park commission.
What, that expense would be under that line item in the expenditures, so, under disc golf account.
That's fine.
Well, okay, now let's back up on this, because I like to treat people, everybody the same. Everybody that comes through that door is treated the same. Who paid for the Little League banner?
I wasn't involved in that.
I thought Little.
Again, I have to recuse myself, just for the record, for transparency, because I am on both boards. But as a matter of information, we did pay for the banner.
Well, guess what? Fair is fair and like is like. Just because the last board did something that's out of sync, how can we charge this, how can we charge Little League? Why don't we charge Little League? They paid for theirs. Let disc golf replace their
That's
sign.
something that we're gonna, I agree with you, Joe,
Yes.
but I think it's something we have to look at the contract. We should put that in the contract, that we have.
Well, I'm sure there's not the
Any type of
contract
sign,
that we're
They're
gonna,
gonna be responsible.
we also paid, I think disc golf paid for all their, I think, I can check on that. All the signage for disc golf, like hole 18 and hole 19 and everything else, I think we paid for that plus the posts.
Did we agree to all that? Apparently.
Huh?
We agreed to do all that?
Probably.
Well, it also includes the identification for the walk path. We did.
That was our other signage.
Yeah, that was all
We
under
were supposed
signage.
to replace anyhow.
And I will back up too, we never finished the beach signs because we were waiting to do the new siding. So we need to add that under one of these expenses.
Okay, we'll put that, but this is for just with this disc golf. Because again, when you look at the revenues that we're looking from disc golf, I mean, what did we put in there?
2,000.
Yep.
Two.
Two, yeah. And now we're gonna put a sign. The sign's gonna be, we looked at some signage, I don't know what else, but for your sign, I'm sure it's $200.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure of the number.
Okay, but I'm sure.
The main thing is that Holly Township Parks is paying for the parking lot renovations and parking and maintenance. We send our people up to dump all the garbage cans for disc golf, use our personnel, our equipment, and our dumpster to take care of that. Why am I gonna buy them a sign?
But I also think that we should, have some guidelines for the signage.
That's why we need to.
You know,
have
the Little League
contract.
sign
Yeah.
is very different than that
Yes.
disc golf
Here's a little
sign.
bit of past history. Back in the days when they had Cyclone Park, everybody, Holly Auto could put up a 4x8 piece of plywood sign all the way around that park. We did the same thing up here. They could advertise, and they supplied their own signs. We got to do the advertising. It looked like Tiger Park,
You're talking outfield fence?
Yeah.
That type, okay.
but we didn't pay for that, they did. So that was something that we always did. So now if Little League wants to put up whatever banners they want to put up on, because they're using the fields, they can. We're not paying for it, they are.
But I agree with Cindy, we should have some, we don't have anything right now, but we should have a policy that says how big these signs are, what happens if they're stolen, or if they're, in bad weather, they're torn, who's responsible for,
And this should be under the contract that we have with Little League and anybody else that comes in, is that that's your sign. It has to be a certain size for us, and if it gets stolen or damaged, you replace it. And it's not in the contract, because we never signed the contract yet.
Okay.
But it's part of our branding, and if we're branding to a better look or a little bit more organized, or I'm not sure what
No, I
words
agree
we
with
want to
you.
use, but I feel like those signs need to reflect whatever the park's branding is.
I agree. So, okay, so for now, I'm gonna recommend that we put 0 on there. Is that okay, based on what I hear?
Yes.
And then we will look at the contract and we'll start developing that so that as we prepare contracts in the future, you lucked out, James. But next year, we will talk about signage.
Yep.
And again, we will be, and even now, it's your sign, so I know you guys will maintain it.
Mhm.
And I'm sure it's almost a given because
Yeah.
it's your sign.
And just for the commission's information, just to touch on what Joe was just saying. The Little League is planning to put signs on the back of the outfields.
From your
Yeah, field
sponsors or whoever
sponsors,
else.
banners, yes.
Okay, you guys are.
Okay,
But not now, next time, okay, we'll leave it alone for this year. Next year, because see, you're making some money off of us by putting the signs up, right? The sponsors, do the sponsors pay for anything?
The
or are they just
sponsor-
paying for the sign?
the sponsors pay for the banners that we put them up, yes. And that money goes to Little League expenses needed, for kids to play, other expenses the Little League has, so.
Also, contracts can be amended.
So we're gonna look at that, okay? But for now, we'll leave it alone for now, but I agree, we need to take a look at that. That's
Yeah.
why we need to look at it. Okay, so 0 for now, we'll get into the contract and we'll look at that. And we may look at this with you as well, okay? But in the future-
Not with me.
Not with
No,
you.
that would be-
I take that back. With the league.
With Little League.
Thank you for that clarification. I appreciate it. Okay, the next line item is auditing fees. Now, $10,000 is a lot of money for $250,000.
We have to go out and get a bid
Wow.
this year.
Didn't we, wasn't there an issue we had to do 2 of them back to
Yeah.
back, and that's why it's doubled?
But that was last time.
Yeah.
This was, we made it time this time,
Okay.
and they
And
raised
it
it.
was $10,000.
9,000, wasn't it, Mary?
It was 7,500.
Almost 800, 8,000, almost 8,000. Because the other one, you're right, we missed the other one, so it was a double, and they said, okay, we'll pay that. Now they come up with this price, and you go,
Yeah.
Well, when I spoke to the auditing company, because they are going to come in May and do a presentation,
yep.
and I specifically asked them to bring an explanation of why they charged the fee that they did, so hopefully they will address that.
One thing, I was involved with the auditors for years, it's with these guys, and they used to come give us a presentation. But we're also small potatoes. You know, this ain't General Motors, this ain't the Village of Holly, this isn't the library, this is Holly Township Parks. And that's a lot.
Library's at least $1,000 a day to do the budget.
Huh?
The library budget is at least $1 million, or less than that.
Their budget, they're a whole mill and 1.3, they're 1.3 mills. Or 3 is what they got
So we
in.
are half a mil, right?
Yeah.
So they're 2 times our size, 3 times our size?
So we can ask them, what'd you pay for your audit?
So
This is
for
Holly.
now- For now, I would recommend that we put, so in.
Actually, Rachel did come up with this figure of 10,000
Yeah.
because she's expecting that it may go up based on what they charged this year.
I know,
Yeah.
but we're gonna go out for bid,
Yeah.
Okay.
unless you guys wanna leave it at 10,000.
I leave it at 10,000, that way when we get our act together, we can go back and adjust the budget in the next quarter.
Okay, all right, I see the point.
Yeah.
Can you do that?
Yeah.
Okay, makes sense. Thank you. Yeah. Okay. Beach legal, we're gonna put that at 0 because I'm hoping that we recommend Linda all will go. We'll go here. Now, I came up with this number, just, again, not knowing what we need.
Under auditing practices, we got 2 entities here, the beach and here. Should we leave that beach legal, and should we leave the other legal, the parks here? Because it's orange and an apple.
I understand. When we do the 2 budgets separately, then I think we could put separate, we could put 5 and 5, okay? We could do that. Or maybe even less, because I think most of the costs will be here than at the beach. At least it's just my, but you're right, Joe, we should put a little bit on both sides. I don't think.
Because that's why I think they got it split.
It
Okay,
is,
so
yeah.
can we put 2,000 on the beach and 8,000 legal or here? I just think most of the legal expenses are here than at the beach.
I'd split it,
You want to go 5 and 5?
I would.
yeah.
guys agree? I don't know. I think most of the expenses are gonna come from here.
We can always change it when it comes out. Right, we got a great track record.
That's an excellent question. I just don't know, because I've done a little bit of research, all right? And I've not told as many attorneys as I need to talk to y'all first. But I did ask for assistance on this matter, so a little bit of research. And, like, for example, if we would hire the attorney for the township, to do that, her fee would be $150. If we, and we did get another one from a private person, and they were 300 an hour. Okay. But we may need, a special attorney with, special, type of, experience, say environmental. I hope your brother is there in charge, they're one of the most expensive attorneys we've had to do, and, things of that nature. Again, this is just a rough guess, a little lower, as Joe said, but I think that we need an attorney, at least this first year, because we need to set up some policies that we don't have. With all due respect, guys, ladies and gentlemen, I apologize. We need to take a look at our HR policies, take our purchasing policies, we need to take a look at our, investment policy. I don't think we have one.
We don't have investments.
No. And we talked a little bit about that with Rachel, and we do very little. But again, we should give some direction to her, Right now, I think all we do is, maybe money market or put the CD very short term, because, they're not making any big interest or anything like that. But it's still good to make 1%, better than nothing. But again, your direction, I think we need to take a look at that. I think some of the decisions, the contracts, for example, I truly believe that we need to take a look at our contracts, and I'm concerned about that.
I did look at AI ability to review contracts, and there's several platforms available. One of them I saw was called iHeader. You pay about probably monthly fee, you submit, and then the feedback comes back and gives you direction that you have knowledge blocks in. I think I'd like to see before we approve 10,000, that we do some homework, because how many contracts have we had in the past?
So far, it's not to say that we're going to be using this, again, it's just a rough guess. You can go with the price if you'd like. But I think that given the things that we need to do, we have questions sometimes that come up, that we don't know the answer to. We have HR questions, the manager has some questions on a current policy that's coming up or whatever. We need some legal direction. And I don't know what there's it's not just contracts, and I have all due respect, I know AI, and it's a good tool, but it's not something that I would like to utilize, at least, for contract, development. I know it's a good tool, but again, even whatever AI, puts out, it still needs to be reviewed by a legal liner within us. I'm not gonna take what the AI says, the task.
I take my position based on the agreements we've had with Little League. They're simple.
Very
They're
simple.
simple.
Yes.
And I think once we establish a platform on a contract, and we know the categories that we can cover, I wouldn't feel comfortable throwing money at an attorney just to look at that $300 or $150. Well, I think it's pretty standard what we do.
Well, again, I think, I looked at the first contract that we got from all respect to our folks, he didn't have data. It had.
That's not, to me, that's not a lawyer, because we're smart enough here to catch.
No, no.
And I think think our B contract came out pretty nice.
And that's because after we made some recommendations, and we took, and then I, all the respect that I suggested, but had we not, I'm not saying, you know, that I know it all, but I'm telling you, and I'm just giving you, just based on my experience, what I can see. But if I had, you know, come up with those questions or whatever.
Which
and
questions
that's
were they?
A date.
Yes, now, we already sat down with, me and Mary sat down with two of the B people. We had an entrance date, and an effective date, we had an exit
But
date.
Joe, those were recommendations that we made at, I would say we, not just me, we made at one of our meetings.
Yes.
If we hadn't made those recommendations, we just put the contract.
But we
I
did
think
make,
there's
that's it.
several- I'm sorry, I think there seems like there's several times though that we have said, "Ooh, we don't have that contract, or we have a contract, but that wasn't in it, or we had a contract, but we still end up paying it, and it needs to get updated. I don't think there's anything wrong with what was, but I do think going forward, maybe if we had, and maybe they're not going to be like super complex that we need a lot of attention on. The simpler contracts though, it would be nice to get something consistent, whether, just like you said before, Joe, everyone gets treated the same.
Yep.
So to sit down with one place and do a contract and then not offer this next group the same contract seems like we're doing it.
Well, every contract, the difference between Little League and disc golf and the village brush pile are all different contracts.
Sure.
And the big contracts coming up are disc golf. We have a rough draft that never got accepted. And we still got to work with the village on the brush. And we've already solved 3/4 of the complaints of the brush pile with the village. So all we got to do is come up with a little bit of this, more control of the brush pile, where it's going to be. When it gets so big, you guys are going to get your chipper in here and do it. That's the only thing we're looking at now. They've been maintaining the pile pretty good, keeping it back out of the way. We haven't had no complaints. So that's going to be more or less a in-kind service. Because if you start listing 5 things, and then we need the village to do this for us. Well, it isn't on the 5 list. So we got to charge you, well, we got to charge you for a backhoe, a truck, and 3 guys. Wow, at union rate. So you got to watch out what you're going to ask for and what you're going to get. We've had that brush pile.
Details what you're talking about, I don't know, 'cause,
Yeah.
you know, like I don't know who you are, but I understand what you're saying. I guess what somebody who would be professional or, you know, like actually a legal look would hopefully, I mean, my expectation would be that they would guard from any of the complaints. Instead of like reacting to complaints, it would prevent the complaints.
Well, that's what we're working with the village and everybody else.
Yeah, I'm not saying you're.
And even with Little League, this isn't the first round with Little League. We've had contracts before for years with Little League. And the contracts were pretty well explained, and I'm not going to point no fingers, but things didn't happen that were agreed to. I don't care if you had a lawyer look at it or not. What are you going to do? Sue them?
Well, there are other things that the manager could be assistant, especially with HR policies, that, you know, that we are not, you know, privy to, but she may have, you know, some questions. But I believe we have another, and again, it's not gonna be rocket science, but we don't, again, I don't know if we have any policies. I mean, there's never been a need, I suppose, but to have a good HR manual would be something good for us to do. Whenever we set up any rules, regulations ourselves, we set up some rules, and, you know, again, we need to make sure that they're legal, that we're not asking anything that's, you know, above and beyond. Yes.
I mean, if the number were lower, would you feel more comfortable with the legal fees? Is it the $10,000?
I don't care about the legal fees at all. I just, if there's a need for it, let's go see an attorney. But if there's not a need for it, if it's a basic contract, hey, Jim, I'm going to loan you my shirt for 2 days. You agree to it. Here's my shirt. And you got to bring it back washed and things and pressed. Thank you very much. That's a simple contract. Now, we're going to get an attorney and say, hey, Joe, yeah, what about reimbursement or this, that, or everything else? Or
So,
can you
number is $10,000, that's the question, right? Whether we want to do $10,000.
I don't mind bringing it down, okay? I just don't know what our first year we would be. And it just because we put a number there doesn't mean that we spend it.
That's it.
okay?
I have nothing against the legal fee number there.
Yeah.
It's just the use. If we gotta go through a lot of stuff just to take a simple
Yes.
contract. Yeah.
Doesn't make sense.
You gotta remember one thing
It
about a
doesn't mean
lawyer.
that we're gonna spend it, okay? It does not mean that we're gonna spend it. It is just a bad thing to go over it over. And I don't have a problem with that, you know, because it's gonna be the first time. But I know that we need to get some legal help here for us to take a look. There's some other things.
And I think there's enough people at this table here, this table right here, this group, this table, that can sit down and write a contract that's pretty bulletproof. It's pretty simple, pretty bulletproof,
And I respectfully
boilerplate.
disagree.
Huh?
With,
I respectfully disagree.
Oh, well,
with the legal fees, I think I've mentioned to a few of you that I'm a little concerned with that as well. However, as smart as this group is, and I think we have a really good group of people here, we don't know what we don't know. And do I want to spend $300 an hour, $150 an hour for someone to look over a simple one-page contract? I think that's a waste of money. However, I don't think it's a waste of money if we can come up with a template of a contract that has all the necessary elements of the contract in there already that we can modify for whatever
And
going
the attorney
forward.
did put that together for us.
Right.
okay? Because the attorney will say, these are the things that you're gonna need to
Right.
protect yourself. You're gonna make sure, like, for example, our contract that we have with the depots, nothing about insurance.
Right.
Nothing about liability insurance.
So, and I mean, I understand you just put the 10,000 in there because we don't know how much we would actually use it.
and that's like when we went to school, it was who, what, where, when, and why. That was the 5 basics you had to figure out. If you didn't, if you missed one, you had to find it out.
Let's go back to what Jeff had brought up. There are legal services on a monthly basis, a per month basis, that would give us enough information that we can come up with a contract. They wouldn't be on retainer, and, you know, just that and the other thing, plus through MTA, Michigan Township Association, and the Michigan Municipal League, we have access to their attorneys on staff. Now, they won't be able to provide,
They won't provide legal.
they won't provide us specific legal information. However, if we have a general legal question, they're able to assist us.
Yes.
Not specific to the issue at hand, but in general, okay? Now, you understand that some issues require specific questions, and that's why I don't think a lawyer that we have would be a bad thing. I'm just not quite sure if I'm not quite sure that what we are going to be doing as a Parks Commission would warrant a $10,000 retainer.
No, it was just, it's a number of things. It doesn't mean that we're gonna go out and hire a lawyer for 10,000. It's just a budget number. It's just like with the audit, we don't know, we don't leave there at 9,000,
I
we could
understand.
be less. So if you guys feel that 10,000 is too high a number, then we're willing to go 7,000,
I did today,
So,
but there's a lot there.
yeah, there's a lot, okay? And we're gonna need somebody to help us with those things, okay? And that's what I'm saying, all right? We've been kind of like fortunate that nothing's happened, and we, we've been able to avoid, some stuff, but I think we can do that anymore. I think that things are gonna change, and we can ask the attorney to come up with a template, so that, now, we've done that in cities that we've had them do a template for us, so that we can use that, and we have a HR form that, that people can use in order to, fill out for personnel. We have and we don't really the HR person, we don't the attorney or things like that, but if we're dealing with people, we need to make sure that we don't, we don't ask for the wrong questions that come back and haunt us, And, so HR is one concern that I have, policies that we enacted, So, I'm willing to, recommend that we, take this on.
Be smart, but my opinion here, we never run the township for resources. That's kind of a bridge there across. And so we need to be smart. The tablet makes it great.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we can ask the attorney, and then every year, it doesn't mean that we're gonna spend all this money on the attorney, it's just a number. And I came up with that number, because I thought, oh, we've never done anything like this before. But it's certainly, that's why I have a discussion, and we can bring it out. I mean, I'm recommending bring it up to seven.
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 We need to be smarter in how we conduct ourselves and utilize the resources that are available.
Yes.
I think seven.
Seven, should we try seven?
Review,
Now,
review it quarterly.
yeah. And, and again, and I'm hoping that we don't use it, and I'm hoping that we don't, we don't need it.
So we move to 7.
But we just have it, and this is, when we do this, then we have to go out and deal with local attorneys, okay? And whether we just go contract, maybe retainer, or whatever, and then plus, this commission will be responsible for somebody. So, we need to do interviews and things of that nature, so we've got to wait, sometimes the attorney may call us another thing to do.
So do you want to split that?
That was my next question. Do you want to put some for each new? I don't think each new is gonna have a lot, but
When you look at the liabilities, last year, 6 people drowned in this. We have more of a chance of having a legal problem at the beach, because what we got here, we're not racing the mountain bikes, we don't have a zip line, we don't have trampolines, we don't have this, we don't have that. So the chances of something happening at the beach are more.
you want to go half and half?
I go half and half.
Okay, so 30 left and 30 left. Is that okay with everybody? Okay, thank you, gentlemen, thank you, ladies, for listening, and we're so glad that we're doing this. So beach disposal,
There is none, we got rid of the dumpster. We were being charged for it anyhow.
Park disposal, 2,000.
Now, what does the purchase order consist of?
Or dumpster.
Just the dumpster?
Yeah, just the dumpster.
By the way, these numbers is, Rachel came up with, okay? Sanitary disposal, 3,600.
That's what,
Outhouse,
yeah, that and, water and sewer at the beach.
and she only came up with a, it was like $300.
Yeah.
It was like only for 3 last time.
Water, water, water.
Sewer.
Water and sewer at the beach.
Yeah, but you can utilities.
No, water, sewer,
Water and sewer is.
one.
Yeah, beach utility.
Under beach facilities, under 920.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Home beach utilities.
All we got at the beach is electricity, water,
everything that she says to us is going to be on her phone. Everything we say to her is subject to an attorney. You know,
Before we go, can I go back to the telephone?
Yes.
We do not have a meter.
No, we haven't had it for years. In fact, that's the last time the power went down, the power company cut off our telephone lines.
Now, not that, I personally have never been to it, so I don't know anything about out there. The Inseego device that we're using here at the Nature Center for the telephone, where I am, it's 5G, it's wireless. We could have another one of those with beach and have our own, there's a phone line at the beach. If that's something that we are, would like to see.
And would that fall under the Microsoft
No.
type thing?
No,
That's,
it would be included in Verizon.
okay.
so it'll just be a phone.
Yeah, it'd be just a phone, it'd be, I believe, another $25 a month. And that's a month, so whenever we're not using it, we can shut that off.
So where would that be with the insurance?
Each
So,
telephone.
Oh, so we use it next.
it'd be under the account we do.
Now, with that, though, to Jane's point about it being subject to public, if talking to the commissioners and stuff, if we had a mobile phone there, would that fall under the same type of thing? Where it would be subject to,
I'm sorry, say
Have
that?
to be a, what do you call it,
A landline?
Yeah,
No.
it could be a cell phone.
Well, not in that, not utilizing that device. I,
Is that on a phone out there?
What's required?
I thought,
Yes. Was it payphone?
Yeah, I really don't. But I would like to see cell phones for staff.
But James, were you saying that it would be a phone that's wired? Is that what you mean?
well, the Inseego device that we're using here at the Nature Center utilizes the phones that we already have here. So it'd be wired to the Inseego device, but the Inseego device itself is wireless 5G. So basically it turns the Nature Center's phone into a cell phone. It was wireless coming from the cell tower.
Because these are landlines, rubber landlines now.
Yes.
And our beach was landlines.
Right.
And now they're just.
Oh, we don't have anybody answering that phone.
I'm more saying like for cases of emergency or.
So there's a cell phone, and the staff uses their own cell phone.
When we had that problem a couple summers ago, one of our workers down there was accosted. And they just got on their cell phones and called the police.
That's what I'm saying.
Now, I will say that when I worked for the Census Bureau, we had issued cell phones to everybody. We were not allowed to use their mobile or personal device.
I would like to.
For that reason, for whatever reason.
I would like to see the manager and the maintenance supervisor, like to send cell phones. That just for the purpose of use. I used to have 2 phones when I worked, and I had to keep them separate. I couldn't use my work phone for personal stuff. Right? It's not to say that, I go give it to, phone over to my family, do not use this number unless you can't reach me on my regular phone. Like, be careful what you say on this phone, and this number to be able to beat that.
Yeah, I mean, all I can say is when you issue a phone, I have a phone for my work, a cell phone. It comes with a lot of regulations, it comes with a lot of rules, it comes with, I have to attest that I'm not gonna, this, that, and everything else. say the C word, but it does come with contracts because we have to do it every year. We have to reattest. We have to, you know,
Yeah,
say
I
we're
do
gonna
too.
do this. And then there's updating, you know, on the phones themselves, so
How about
it's a
this?
thing.
How about this? You like this? Can we ask the manager for this first year, that goes, she work with the supervisor and see what it's like? We're gonna put 0 for now. But in next year, you think, hey, I'm using my personal, unless you know now, you know, that you use too much of your personal cell phone for work.
Well, I do have a little bit of a concern as far as the FOIA thing. Obviously, it has not occurred yet that there's any kind of issue. So it would be hard for me to tell whether in the future might be some egregious thing that comes up that I would say, shoot, I wish I had had a actual dedicated line, you know?
Well, because
But
the, let's say somebody does a FOIA request, and I want to see all of Mary's, conversations she's had with Rich. So they're gonna have to take your cell phone, and they're gonna look at everything, not just conversations, but her personal. So that's why I'm so adamant we have our own separate email as well, because they can handle your personal stuff. I mean, I don't care right now, keep it in mind, it's okay. See a lot of people.
They deliver my own to me.
Shush.
My computer and myself, help yourself, you're trying to let me know.
Antisocial.
Just stay on the email system.
Would you utilize that direct line to your office?
you mean as far as the one that's here?
Well, the one phone we have is in the office.
Well, we have 4 phones here. We have 4 extensions
One landline
here.
used to have a, used to send out, send documents on.
Fax?
Yeah, we used to have a fax line here, it was one more number than our telephone number, we didn't use it, so we got rid of it. But we always had one number for 4 phones.
Faxes are still, we still have a fax line, don't we?
No.
We got rid of that years ago.
Oh, wow.
We didn't use it.
All right, okay, so my recommendation was, since Mary doesn't know the answer right now, maybe take a look at this, Mary, and then come back to us at our May meeting and see what we think, okay? So I caution this here, if we send text to Mary, anything is work related, so those texts are also subject to the Open Meetings Act, and, we can do that in this public information. So please be careful when you utilize the phone. There are so many examples that I'm not going to mention, which are really, I don't know what I'm talking about. So, you can take a look at this, Mary, and see if maybe this is something, I personally think that would be a good idea to have a separate phone.
I also, I would agree with that. I mean, I think, for FOIA reasons alone, I think it would be beneficial. For example, when I was appointed to be on the commission, I actually got myself a second phone number for myself. So all of my work related email, text messages and phone calls go to my work phone number on my cell phone. So that if by case there is a FOIA request, we can just, it can be limited to messages coming to that phone.
And that's what I want you to work with.
So can you clarify that? So you have one phone with 2 phone numbers?
Correct.
I didn't know that was possible.
Yeah, the new technology is called eSIM, and basically what it does is it allows one device to utilize 2 different SIM cards. So, and of course, the phone number provides you one specific SIM card.
Actually, might be doable, because my problem is I belong to several groups, and I'm on the board for several groups. And if anything were to happen here, create a lot of the stuff that's on that phone for other groups. And so